Welcome to the Decoding HVAC Podcast, powered by Fujitsu AirStage, bringing you smart solutions, industry trends, and pro tips to keep you in the know. Well, Matt, let's get into what's called Mini VRF. In a prior episode, we talked about VRF for commercial side. Let's get into for residential applications. You know, we have a lot of homes that have multiple temperature needs. There's the upstairs is hot, the downstairs is cool. There's guest rooms that are used, there are guest rooms that are not used. Let's walk into how we can efficiently heat and cool a home using a Mini VRF system.
Great segue. So, as we've talked about in some of our other episodes in our product lineup, residentially, installing a multi-zone system, meaning an outdoor unit, multiple indoor units, and connecting those two, the indoors to the outdoor. As we talked about VRF, there is a significant adoption of VRF into the residential space. It's what we call the Mini VRF, as you alluded to, and typically that's 65,000 BTUs and under, right? So not to get too technical, but we've seen a transition because, as we said, VRF does not have to be the big, scary monster, big building, right? It can be a residential, and actually we call it the McMansions. We talk about row homes. Mini VRF applications can be the perfect installation. When we get back to residential, I've got a multi-zone system. I can do a multi-zone system with a VRF system, meaning I've got an outdoor, right? I have multiple indoors inside and I'm connecting them on a circuit. The difference between the two is there's an electrical difference. So on a multi-zone outdoor unit, residential, all the electrical EEVs that really meter the refrigerant, that's on the outdoor unit. And we power the indoor units from the outdoor. So you can kind of paint a picture for you. I got a residential system, I got an outdoor unit connected to my indoor units. I have line sets, the copper that connects from the outdoor to the indoor that moves the refrigerant. Remember, we're trying to eliminate ductwork to the best of our ability. We're moving refrigerant through lines. So I'm connecting each of those indoor units to the outdoor unit. And those indoor units are powered from communication power wire from that outdoor. Okay. The beautiful thing about a VRF system is, as we said earlier, different episode, I've got different style of indoor units that I can put on a Mini VRF. I won't go into detail on those, today, but now on a Mini VRF system, what I'm doing, instead of having all those indoor units, having a dedicated line connecting from the indoor unit to the outdoor, I'm using a common line and running refrigerant through there. And I'm breaking off each of those heads or indoor units from that line. So again, want to make sure everybody is perfectly clear. A VRF, Mini VRF in a residential application, it is a heat pump. All those units are going to be heating at the same time or cooling at the same time, not both, right? You can't be heating in one side, cooling at the other. But by using a Mini VRF, Darin, what we can do is we can run more lines and deeper into a space than what a residential system may have some limitations.
So just to be clear, so it's just one single outdoor unit with multiple indoor zones or heads, right?
That's correct.
All right, so let's go into one of the things we talked about was heat recovery on the commercial side of this. So it can heat part of a home and then cool another, correct?
On the commercial side, yes. Residentially, no, right? So, and that's kind of where, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because when our contractors go to a homeowner or homeowner is asking the question, it's like, hey, does this heat and cool? Contractors have to be very careful when they say, yeah, it heats and cool, just not at the same time, right? So in a Mini VRF system, because it is truly a heat pump, all those indoor units have to be in the same mode, right? I'm glad you asked that question because that's where a lot of confusion comes about, where a homeowner says, well, I thought I could heat upstairs and cool downstairs at the same time. Not on the same system. That's when you would either break it up or do something different.
What about the noise, right? It seems like these things are so low noise that it'd be really great for some of these new communities that have noise restrictions and that type of thing. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about ductless technology, Mini VRF systems, it is a horizontal discharge unit. It's using variable speed, using variable inverter technology compressors. So if you look at your standard unitary, your standard residential outdoor unit, when that thing comes on, that thing will start buzzing. It's full bore, it's going. The beautiful thing about a ductless technology as well as a Mini VRF outdoor unit using inverter, it's slowly ramping up. If it doesn't need to be moving at 100% capacity, it's not going to. It's going to find that sweet spot. So as they find that sweet spot of how much refrigerant I need to send inside, I can slow that fan down on the outdoor unit, still provide efficiency. I'm slowing that fan down and I'm not making any noise. beautiful thing too is that air has to, again, physics is physics. Until someone figures out how to break physics, we have to abide by it. So when you have air moving on an outdoor unit, 'cause that's where you get your heat transfer. You're moving the heat from either outside to inside or from the inside to out. You got to do something with that air. With a standard residential unit, which is typically a vertical discharge. That means the big giant, I call it the grill, cooking grill. Cook steaks out there, right? They got a big grill on top. It's blowing air. And to your point, in communities and applications where I don't want to see that unit, that thing's 4 feet tall. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. With a horizontal discharge unit, and you can actually tuck that unit up under a deck, depending on, the application, tuck it up closer to a house. You can actually pipe underground and get that unit further away from the house because that air is moving from the side of the unit, moving it away versus traveling up the house, bouncing up against the siding or brick or whatever, and where windows are, where you can hear it more. So they are super quiet. Because sometimes people come out and like, well, how come my unit's not running? It's running, you just can't hear it.
Well, that's the thing. I live outside of Nashville, and in the city, they're building these tall and skinny homes, almost zero lot lines. This is ideal for that type of application. You're not hearing your neighbor's system kick on and kick off.
Yeah, and where the Mini VRF technology really gain traction on the residential side is, as I said, physics. I know I keep saying that. Residential systems have maximum lengths that you can install. I can only put that indoor unit, but so far from that outdoor unit, because I will lose efficiency. Refrigerant has to travel up and back and forth from it. What Mini VRF system is very similar outdoor unit, but it's a much larger outdoor unit. That means I can have more refrigerant volume in the outdoor unit, so I can hold more refrigerant, more capacity. Another thing is with the Mini VRF, because of that refrigerant volume is much more than a residential system, that means I can go further into a space before I hit my indoor units. I'm not as limited. There's some install parameters you have to follow, but I can get further into the space. I can also go further vertical before I go into a space. So to your point, you get into downtown Nashville, you have some row homes, you may have a garage on the ground level, and you may have 2 or 3 more floors above that. Well, you got to have enough volume of refrigerant to go all the way up that building and get to an air handler if you're trying to condition that very top floor. So this is what's really been beneficial by having another system other than just a residential system to be able to solve those issues, where it's needed.
So to just kind of recap here, so it's got great temperature control, higher efficiency, quiet operation, and to your last point, very flexible on the installation.
Absolutely. It's really gaining popularity. We made some systems where from smaller ones to larger ones in the residential application, it just gives you a lot more flexibility to get the units specifically closer to where you really need it versus having the limitations of keeping, too close to the outdoor unit.
Gotcha. Well, Matt, thanks for doing this with me. Thanks for breaking down Mini VRF. If you have any questions or would like to get in touch with us about our podcast, please reach out to us at Decoding HVAC Podcast at gmail.com.